all students, please stand as you are able to agree our distinguished
Tak apa, baru.
all students. We are sorry for the inconvenience we may see for now.
Aku ke? Siapa yang suruh? Saya ada Sabintan ni. Ada Sabintan ni. Yang pebal ni. Siapa yang arahkan cakap?
Tak tahu. Sebab pun
Yang dulu kompeten tu. Okey, sebab nanti nak turun kan? Boleh. Kau pusing lah.
sebab kita dah start. Kita hadap pada je.
Tak apa, tak apa. Botol atas tu kod dia tu. Tak tercakap tau. Cakap gila aku.
Buat tu program.
Kalau training je tak boleh. Tukar macam tu lah. Susah weh macam keras. Keras semua. Tak, maksudnya
Pusing apa je maksudnya?
pusing dengan ni sekali tak boleh.
Gerak-gerak lah nanti. Nampak goyang sangat lah.
Mesti korang nak buat macam ni.
Pusing sini je phone. Atas ni boleh pusing nanti. Rotate.
Betul je. Kalau sekarang kan nak kamu lagi. Sebab orang keluar-keluar. 3 orang baru kata.
Nah, kan live lepas tu nanti kan orang ni boleh tengok balik. Nanti orang akan awal bosan.
Biasa je. Siapa?
Cik dah gambar.
Jauh betul.
Saya tak ada. Jauh sangat kot.
Padahal kan dia zoom tempat lain.
Cik.
Padahal
Tak ada
Betul. Lagi kecil. Tak cukup air. Asyur, jangan lari-lari Asyur. Itulah, tapi dah kesilap kot tadi nama Ustaz. Macam gelaran-gelaran tu ada yang kesilap. So, orang kata tak ingat. Sebab takut macam rasa disrespect.
Selamat.
Salah ABV. Ha? Ready?
Ready.
Maju kan? Maju? Maju lah. Macam kau follow ni. Sampai nak sampai.
All students, please stand as we are ready to greet our distinguished guests to enter the hall. Announcing the arrival of guests of honor, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our honorable guests to the FBM I Can Read 2.0 closing ceremony and the Islamic Finance Forum. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for our national anthem, Negaraku. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and please kindly be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, to gain more barakah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to bless this momentous occasion, we will begin our ceremony with dua recitation by Mr. Muhammad Nasrullah Saiful Bahari. Please welcome.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Al-Fatihah. A'udzu billahi minasyaitonir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. In the name of Allah, the gracious and the merciful, we offer our praises to Allah, the Lord of all creation. May your blessings and peace shine upon your servant and messenger, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, along with his family and companions. Dear Allah, we are thankful to you for giving us the chance to come together for this beautiful and auspicious event via online and face-to-face for the fifth advances in Business Research International Conference, April 2023. Ya Hayyu Ya Qayyum, the ever-living, sustainer of all, bestow your blessings upon the noble goals set forth in today's event, where ideas, expertise, learning experiences, and knowledge may be shared among us. Ya Rahman Ya Rahim, the most compassionate, most merciful, grant us the wisdom, strength, and the determination to take the appropriate actions on all matters discussed among us. Ya Dhal Jalali wal Ikram, our Lord of majesty and generosity, shower upon us the goodness of this world and the goodness of the hereafter, and safeguard us from the ferment of the hellfire. Allahumma inna naj'aluka fi nuhuri a'da'ina wa na'udhu bika min shururihim. Allahumma baddid shamlahum wa farrik jam'ahum wa shattid kalimatahum wa zalzil aqdamahum wa sallit alayhim kalban min kilabik. Ya Qahhar, Ya Jabbar, Ya Muntakim, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah. Allahumma ya munzil al-kitab wa ya mujri as-sahaba wa ya hazim al-ahzab, ihzimhum, ihzimhum, ihzimhum wa ansurna alayhim. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanatan wa qina adzaban nar. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa baraka wa sallam. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Taqabbalallahu minna wa minkum.
Buka live sekejap. Kalau kita menyanyi pun jadi macam mana?
Betul lah. Skateboard ni.
Amin Ya Rabbal Alamin. Thank you, Mr. Muhammad Nasrullah, for the beautiful dua recitation.
Oh, interesting Islam.
Nak miring ko? Macam miring ni. Kenapa dilarang ya?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Memang kena singit.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera and salam Malaysia Madani. Dato' Azrul Nizam bin Abdul Aziz, Chairman Prima Corporation Malaysia, Independent Non-Executive Director, MBSB Bank. Dr. Abidin Ediyemi Edwale, Acting Assistant Secretary General for Standard Implementation of Islamic Financial Services Board IFSB. Yang berbahagia Prof. Dr. Firdaus Abdullah, Dean Faculty of Business and Management. Yang berbahagia Profesor Madya Surveyor Dr. Rosmadi Ghazali, Deputy Rector, Division of Industry Relations, Community, Alumni and Entrepreneurships, ICARE. Yang berusaha Dr. Nur Fadil Abdul Aziz, Deputy Dean, Industry, Community and Alumni Network, ICANN. Yang dikasihi Nurul Alia Atasha binti Abdul Rashid, Majlis Perwakilan Pelajar, Faculty of Business and Management. Distinguished guests from industry, FBM top management, lecturers, dear student, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome to the FBM ICANN Week 2.0 closing ceremony and Islamic Finance Forum. Thank you for your wonderful presence for today's event. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Ashraf bin Zain Ajrai, and I will be your MC for today's event. Ladies and gentlemen, FBM is proudly announcing to host the FBM ICANN Week 2.0 closing ceremony and Islamic Finance Forum. For your information, the theme for today is Leveraging Islamic Social Finance to Enhance Equitable Distribution. Respected ladies and gentlemen, to kick off this morning program, I would like to call upon Yang Berbahagia, Professor Dr. Firdaus Abdullah, Dean Faculty of Business and Management, to convey a few words and remarks. Please welcome.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. Thank you, Ashraf, MC for this event. Thank you also for the Dawah stations for this event. Alhamdulillah, thank you very much. I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you, in particular our distinguished guests. I'd like to Bahagia Dato' Azrul Nizam bin Abdul Aziz, Chairman of Prima Corporation Malaysia, Non-Executive Independent Director, NBSB Bank, a young Professor, Faculty of Business Management, or very own young Professor, and also alumni of UITM. He has been with us for many, many years though. And this is one of his contributions, of course, not just to the faculty, but also to UITM. And we have also our distinguished guest, Dr. Abidin Adeyemi Adewali, Acting Assistant Secretary General from Standard Implementation of Islamic Financial Services Board, IFSB. Welcome, Dr. Abidin. He is the alumni of University Islam Antarabangsa, UIA. He's been in Malaysia for almost close to 20 years, according to him. So he is semi-pro Malaysian. Been working after UIA finished his PhD, and now he's in charge of this very important institution, Islamic Financial Services. Of course, we have also our Deputy Rector, Associate Professor Sebelja Dr. Rosmadi, Deputy Rector of the UCS, welcome to and the hardworking Dr. Faradila, Deputy Dean of ICANN. She has been very much involved in this ICANN week. This is ICANN 2.0, and this is one of the events, one of our signature events, Faculty of Business Management, something that we've been waiting for. And of course, the lecturers and student top management faculty.
Oh, sama lah weh.
Welcome.
Kenapa?
Alhamdulillah, today
Tak, kalau dia macam-macam kan
we are
macam
here
terbalik.
to witness
Ha, kenapa?
not just this forum,
Ya Allah, like banyak.
our last forum for this ICANN Week 2.0, but the closing ceremony of this ICANN Week 2.0. As what I mentioned, this is the one of our signature events. We are very proud of this because we have managed to attract more than 50 plus companies, close to 60 companies who are currently engaging with us during this ICANN Week 2.0. And we have 5 CEO talks. We have close to 50 industry talks. So this is the size of the event that we are managing at the moment, ICANN Week 2.0. And the number of participants from among the students, physical, and also online, and also the lecturers, and other stakeholders have been quite significant. I think we have more than 5,000 participation. For your information, for our distinguished guests, this session is being live telecast in our FB and also our YouTube. And this is just a fraction of the students who are following us. At the moment, we have several events that are ongoing at the moment. We have industry talks, CEO talks. The last few days we had career fair where more than 50 companies were involved, with students being interviewed for internship and also for possible permanent jobs. Because these are all the students that will be undertaking the internship by next semester, the 5th semester. And hopefully by then they'll be ready for the permanent post, okay, in the industry. We had also workshops involving various industry players, experts, the CEO. We have also organized competitions and entrepreneurship fair. So these are just some of the activities that we are having for this ICANN Week 2.0. It has been very, very successful, and I believe the students have gained a lot of knowledge, a lot of insightful information, valuable experience from the leading experts in the industries. And I hope that you have network, you have built a professional network with the industry players, because these are the future, your future employees. Although the faculty is very much into creating talent for the industry, we are also very serious when it comes to creating entrepreneurs. We want to create more entrepreneurs. We want to create more employers in the future. We have programs at the beginning of the semesters, upon enrollment, students will be involved in entrepreneurship programs. They will be encouraged to set up a business. They will be encouraged to run the business while they study, and hopefully by the time they complete the study, the business will be up and running, so that at least they would have the second options in career, either working full-time or having their own business. And during this ICANN Week, I think we have invited several celebrities, Dr. Farah, celebrity and also influencers. Yesterday I had the opportunity to meet one of the celebrities, Dr. Datin Rebecca. And Datin Rebecca, well, Datin Rebecca is one of the top CEO 2019, and her business is very, very diversified, and I believe our students have significantly learned the experience of Datin Rebecca. This is just one of the examples that what we have done, and we hope that in the future we have more of similar programs, exposure to the industries, and so on. And also, in terms of our academic programs, we want to make sure that programs that you are taking, whether it's a diploma, degree, master's, or PhD, these are the programs that are currently being accredited by professional bodies, professional institutes, and also professional associations. We are working towards more accreditation by these institutes. At the same time, we are also working towards making sure that industry will give recognition, accreditations for our programs. Various industries, especially the big tech, for example, Google, FB, and so on. So these are the industries that are currently engaging with us, and we hope that when you graduate, you would have not just your ITM scroll, but you will have certifications from professional bodies, professional institutes, professional associations, and industry recognition. This is agenda aspiration of Faculty of Business Management. And lastly, of course, I would like to say thank you to the Jabatan Kuasa, committee that has been working tirelessly toward making sure that this event is successful. I'd like to extend my warm appreciations to the Association of Islamic Banking Associations. The majority of the students are from the Islamic Banking Association, and of course to ICANN, that has been very much involved in organizing, making sure that this event is successful. And again, once again, thank you for being here. Thank you for your presence. Thank you to our distinguished guests. We hope that all of you will gain valuable experience from this forum. On this note, it gives me great pleasure to officially launch the closing of ICANN Week 2023. Thank you.
Thank you, Yang Berbahagia Prof, for the speech. Ladies and gentlemen, now let us direct our attention to the captivating video montage. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a round of applause to the montage video by ICANN. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, now we have come to our main agenda, the forum session. The forum on the Islamic finance will be moderated by our moderator, Associated Professor of Faculty Business and Management, Dr. Isma binti Osman, Senior Lecturer of Faculty of Business and Management. Let us welcome to the stage Associate Professor Dr. Isma binti Osman and our speakers, Yang Berbahagia Dato' Azrul Nizam bin Abdul Aziz, Board of Director MBSB, Chairman Prima Corporation Malaysia. Yang Berbahagia Dr. Abidin Adiemi Adewale, Active Assistant Secretary General for Standard Implementation, Islamic Financial Services Board, to impart insights on leveraging Islamic social finance to enhance equitable distribution. Please welcome.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin wa bihi nasta'in wa bi Muhammadin Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in hamdan yuwafi ni'amahu wa yakaf mazidah ya Rabbana lakal hamdu kama yanbaghi li jalali sultanik rabbi shrah lana sudurana wa yassir lana umurana wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawlana. Alhamdulillah, we are very much blessed to have with us our honorable speakers, very prominent from industry, very prominent individuals from the industry. I have with me my long lost friend. Previously, we had the best of our life, our PhD journey together back in 2007, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Dr. Adiwale from UIM. And of course, we have with us our yang berbahagia Datuk Aizul Nizam. I know the wife, Datin. Thank you very much, Datin. And thank you very much, Datuk, for having been with us for today. Very much blessed. And of course, before we proceed, I would like to render some poems, if I may, pantun. Melayang serindit di atas permatang, merbok berkilau di hujung muara, pemanis kata selamat datang, kalam bismillah pembuka bicara. Thank you very much to all of you, our esteemed from the industry, the invited guests from the industry as well, from the banks, and all of you students, my fellow colleagues from the Faculty of Business Management, not forgetting our distinguished dekan. Thank you very much for the honor as well as my fellow colleagues here, Dr. Faradilla. So welcome again to our ICANN forum, leveraging Islamic social finance to enhance equitable distribution. It's very mouthful, but I guess hopefully all of us together will learn something from our esteemed speakers here. And without further ado, we are very much thrilled to present this panel of experts, of course, who will be sharing their thoughts, their insights, as well as expertise in the topic of social finance. Of course, the panels will bring to us the unique perspective and a wealth of experience in social finance, as well as Islamic finance in general. So we hope together we can get ready to delve deeply towards the topic of social finance with our esteemed reports. Before we further our conversation, let us get to know personally our esteemed speakers. We will start firstly with my friend here. He always there with me, especially when dealing with analysis. Smart BLS. Those days we used to have Amos. Yeah, so it's really a tricky part. So I said, brother, can you help me? And I'm not sure how many sons we have. That was the time. I guess he was having a newborn baby. Yeah.
Yes. Now I have 4. Alhamdulillah.
Oh, Alhamdulillah, you have 4. I was
sons, 1 daughter.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Adiwale. So, Dr. Abidin Adiwale is the Acting Assistant Secretary General for the Standard Implementation at the IFSB. His journey at the IFB began in April 2018 when he assumed the role of Lead Specialist for Research, Publications and Statistics. In this capacity, he oversaw research activities, coordinated the publication of research papers, managed the flagship IFSB Islamic Financials industry. And Dr. Adiwale also brings to the IFSB a rich background of academia, boasting 18 years of professional experience. Of these, 8 years were dedicated to serving as an associate professor of finance at IIUM. Prior to his academic tenure, he gained 10 years of valuable experience in Nigeria, which included a brief stint in a stockbroking firm, followed by a role as a lecturer at the Department of Accounting and Finance at the University of Ilorin. Dr. Adiwale's academic journey culminated in a PhD in Business Administration with a specialization in finance in IIUM, where he also completed a postdoctoral fellowship. He holds an MSc in Finance from the University of Lagos, Nigeria, and BSc in Finance from the University of Ilorin, Nigeria. In addition to his academic achievement, he possesses numerous professional qualifications that further enrich his diverse skill set. Thank you very much again, Dr. Adiwale, for being here. Next, we have again from the industry. I hope that Dato can, somehow convey your very much achievements to us. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Terima kasih, Prof. First and foremost, let me say thank you to Professor Firdaus, Prof. Rusmadi, sahabat saya, Prof. Dr. Ila. What I would like to do, if allowed by the moderator, maybe we can have more interactive Q&A. Yeah? You can ask me question. On that note, I think I have some colleagues from MBSB Bank this morning. We have Shikin and Mumira. We brought in some goodies, some gift for some of you. So those yang tanya saya question, who ask me question, will get a very nice bag full of goodies. Yeah? So please, my name is Azrul Nizam bin Abdul Aziz. 34 years ago, I am at your side. 1989, I'm a student at ITM Arau Perlis, diploma in business study. So if any can give you some motivation in the next 20 years, tak sampai 34 tahun, you'll be here talking to the new students. Current roles and responsibility, Chairman of Prima Malaysia, Perumahan Satu Malaysia, Board Member of MBSB Bank Berhad, Board Member of M Bank MetLife Takaful, as well as Triben Global Berhad. Not to say I'm an expert in social finance, Prof, but inshallah I'll try to answer some questions and share the perspective that I have in mind. The world now is really a different world when we talk about 5-10 years ago. We'll go through that later. Before I forget, my wife is here. Dia nak ikut pagi tadi, so saya bawa, and she is an ex-lecturer of Faculty of Business and Management of UiTM Puncak Alam. I'm not sure dia ada apa what she has contribute. Very basic, but I'll pass back to the moderator. Terima kasih.
Thank you very much, Dato, for sharing with us your experience, your valuable journey that you have gone through, especially that now that you were the alumni previously from UiTM, and we are glad to have our alumni coming back, and bring forward their experience and sharing that to our beloved students. So, of course, we have a very heavy duties, responsibilities here, with both of the panels having their own insights. So, basically, we will proceed to the discussion on leveraging Islamic social finance to enhance equitable distribution. Now, let us move to the first questions to both the panel of experts here. What is social finance, and why does it matter so much, especially in the days of today? We are getting lots of challenges, inside out. Yeah. So, any of you can start the ball rolling. Tafadhal mashkura.
Okay. In fact, I wanted to compliment, Prof and the team. You picked the hot or the right topic for discussion. The last few months, September, even October, there are many activities and engagement among the regulatory industries as well as the industry players talking about social finance. So the topic today is clearly shows that UiTM, the faculty, doctor are in line and ready to adapt what is coming in the future. I think that's a compliment to everybody here in this room. Now, what is Islamic social finance? I think in a very general answer is that it refers to a financial mechanism and instruments, and the target or the aims is to address the issue of social and economic challenges. Yeah? Of course, by adhering to the Sharia principle. It's a finance that will help the industry in looking at the current economic environment. In fact, some would call Islamic social finance equal to social good. Really, the topic is social finance has become more and more eminent as we go into the few challenges that we are facing now. I'll let Dr. Abidin to say a few words before we come back. Why does it matter to us? Why Islamic social finance is the key important items for us to discuss today? Terima kasih.
Thanks so much, Datu, and let me seek your indulgence to stand on all existing protocol in the interest of time. It's glad to be here. I'm not from UITM, and I feel like if I have another opportunity to also, come back to be a part of this great family, it would really be very, very pleasant. However, I've had experiences with UITM. I've had some consultancy work with Ali in the past, Prof. Norma, Prof. Rashid Abdurrahman, and a few other doctors. And I also had the privilege of co-supervising a PhD student from Accounting Research Institute. So in a way, it's also a form of homecoming. And Dr. Ismail here is here. It was gladdening to see her face on the poster. I was like, I know her somewhere, and things like that. But it's gladdening to see her. And I think earlier on I met Dr. Dila, if I'm not mistaken. No, you are Dr. Dila. There's I forgot it. There's another doctor also. I forgot. No, she was my. Okay. Okay. There are a few people waving now from the crowd. I mean, it's glad to be here. Thanks so much. In the interest of time, I'd like to say that I'm from the IFSB, Islamic Financial Services Board. It's an international standard-setting organization. We complement the activities of the Basel Committee on Banking Supervision, the Islamic banking segment, International Organization for Securities Commission in the capital market segment, and International Association of Insurance Supervisors in the insurance segment. What we cater to is the specificity of Islamic finance. Inadvertently, these global bodies develop prudential standards, but they would not have taken into consideration the specificities of Islamic finance. And as a result, the IFSB was created to cater to this need. We have membership across almost 80 countries and more than 180 members, including the World Bank, the IMF, the UNDP, Islamic Development Bank, and so on and so forth. And of course, Bank Negara is our host. That's why our office is there in the Bank Negara. I had to give this pre-information because I may be looking at issues more from the prudential point of view or the regulatory point of view. Because the tendency is always there to look at issues from their operational perspective. Whereas, just like we all do, if there are no rules on the highway, we also drive very fast. If there are no cameras, we also drive very fast without any regulation, and the consequences may be very fatal. So Islamic social finance, therefore, the way we view it is not different from the way Dato has clearly explained. But we also have to bear in mind that although it looks very straightforward, it's like we all know what it is, but then it remains sufficiently vague as to occupy our imagination for a very long time. Because you may look at it from the point of view of the instruments. We want to talk of zakat, wakaf, sadaqah, and so on and so forth. All the institutions that run them, so all the participants, so from which perspective are you looking at it? But nonetheless, whichever way we look at it, we have come to the conclusion in the IFSB that it is a segment that we cannot afford to leave behind. The reason being that there is a spirit of financing and there is a mechanics of financing. And because of Islam's theological communitarian philosophy that underlies it, that speaks about us, not I, that speaks about we, not you. Therefore, the basic principles of the Sharia to remove hardship, protect public interest, and most importantly, ensure distributive justice, like you have captured in the title, equitable distribution. So when you bring all this together, you would have, provided a basis of what Islamic social finance should be and why is it important. But again, just to say, there are three keywords here: Islamic, social, and finance. So those have to be taken as in isolation, but then we also bring them together to have the kind of meaning we are looking at. So we all know what Islam is. It's a religion of peace that Allah has sent Prophet Muhammad ﷺ to convey to the entire of mankind. We know the pillars of Islam, we know the underlying principles, and so on and so forth. But these days we also talk about ESG. Is that okay? There is the environment, there is the social, there is the governance. So much is happening on the environment side. In fact, the COP28 is starting later this week in the UAE, isn't it? And so much is also talked about governance, because if there are no governance, regulators will always come to say that we have to put this, we have to do it. But what about social? That is the aspect that ties the three together. In fact, if you ask me, it is a pivot around which everything we do rotates. The moment we stop considering the social aspect, then we stop looking at our essence as humans. Then the finance is not necessarily providing funds to somebody who needs it. It's a two-way thing. It's either you are a donor or you are a recipient. So from that point of view, if we look at these three words, Islamic social finance is a system whereby the instruments and the institutions in their entire ramifications are Sharia compliant to take care of the Islamic part, but with an underlying intent of ensuring that the whole essence of humanity is enhanced by means of financial activities in their entire ramifications. I want to leave it there for now. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abdulwale, for a very extensive elaboration on that. We come back to Dr. Azrul. Again, why does it matter, especially now that currently we are having a very bigger changes in life? Thank you.
Sure. I think let me start by reciting one surah, just to set the context clear. This is, I read the translation, Surah Al-Baqarah, ayat 274. Those who spend their wealth in charity, day and night, secretly and openly, their reward is with their Lord, and there will be no fear for them, nor will they grieve. This is a very powerful ayat that encompasses the reason why we are all doing this. My view, there are many benefits of Islamic social finance, but let's talk about the key items. Before I share with you, I would like to ask the first question, and I think hadiah yang pertama ni besar sekali kot, saya rasa. Can anybody tell me what is the top mega trend locally and globally now? What is the mega trending in this current world that we are living now? Anybody can answer this question? Siapa-siapa? Give me one item. What is the biggest mega trend coming?
Students, you may raise your hand and answer the questions.
Belum ready lagi ya? Alright. Ada? Okay, silakan Nadir. What is the mega trend coming? Thank you very much. Shikin, make sure ya, dapat yang paling besar sekali. Tapi kosong lah. Alright, excellent. I think some of the top mega trending includes AI, which is the artificial intelligence, the digitalization. But we also have issues on geopolitical risks, like the Gaza-Palestine issue, Ukraine, Russian war have not finished. But in the context of our social finance, I think Brother Abidin mentioned about ESG, the areas of environmental, climate change, social, governance, and governmental processes. There's a clear synergies between the Islamic social finance and ESG. If you look at most of the banks in Malaysia, most of them are embarking serving activities in the areas of social and environmental. IFSB, obviously, looking at it, Bank Negara, we have a lot of initiative on carbon emission, net zero strategy, renewable energy, purely to promote social justice. So there's a clear, major benefit of myself. Now, if you look at the next item that I put here, Islamic social finance driving financial inclusion. What do I mean by that? Financial inclusion, as you know, we are trying to give opportunity for those people out there, opportunity to get and offer the range of Islamic financial products. And this is another area whereby we can help financing requirement for both underserved and unserved people. Yes, we talk about the three items clearly in Islamic finance, which is the zakat, sadaqah, as well as wakaf. We will go into that afterwards. But in the full context, the timing now is perfect that Islamic social finance become the right thing to do when the whole entire global citizen looking for social financing, green financing, and Islamic social finance is ready to take the next step. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dato', for the wonderful answer, your insights. Now, again, back to you, Dr. Abdiwale. So, understanding Islamic social finance is really a big key word right now. So, how would you explain the key principles in Islamic social finance? Thank you.
Thanks so much, Dr. Isma. Again, I'd like to take a lead from where I left off. You see, there is this general misconception that once it is social finance, it has to be extremely philanthropic. That is not true. There is an intersection between commerce and philanthropy, because at some point you have to talk about sustainability. They also have operational expenses. I mean, now Palestine is facing some very difficult situation. May Allah grant them liberation and bring peace to the world. But the point here is, we are here seated in this hall. Perhaps most of us have contributed something one way or the other. Without leaving the shores of Malaysia, it gets to them. So it means, in a way, there is, the fact that we are sending this through some organizations. But they also need to survive, in a way, because if they are not there in the first instance, you and I will not have had the opportunity of bringing these funds on our own to Palestine and things like that. So there has to be clear-cut understanding, therefore, as to the divide between philanthropy and commercialization. I think one of the issues we find from a regulatory point of view is this concept of mission drift, because at some point there is no limit to, the organizations may have the good intent, but they also don't know at times when they are veering off from their primary assignment of being very social and becoming extremely commercial. So there is a need to change that. But nonetheless, going back to your question, Dr. Isma, that the key principles, anybody wants to do good, anybody wants to do well. So whether it's a Muslim or a non-Muslim, we are all doing well. But we also say for you to stand out, you have to be outstanding. There will not be need for Islamic finance because we already have finance. Why do we have to have Islamic finance? Is that okay? There must have been something underneath that makes it extraordinary. And that is because by default, Islam, like I said earlier, is theologically communitarian. It's always about how do we bring succor to those who don't have, and how do we ensure that there's equitable distribution. So in that case, beneath Islamic social finance, therefore, there is this concept, or this principle, that it is essentially driven by benevolence, driven by altruism, driven by compassion, as the case may be. That's the first thing. But anybody can be compassionate, anybody can be altruistic. You may be doing so without doing anything also, if it is not based with the intent of Sharia. For example, we know those that are entitled to zakat, we know how much we should pay in zakat, we know when we should pay zakat, we know on what basis we should pay it. So if you just pay anything and you say you are paying zakat, it may not be zakat. So in Islam, therefore, it comes with the intent, because there are divine precepts that you have to follow to doing a particular thing. So you now therefore say, it's either you are doing sadaqah or you are doing wakaf. And if you are doing wakaf, what is the nature of the wakaf? Because it must be perpetual. Is that okay? It must be based on some properties or cash, as the case may be. Then, if you are doing so, what is your source? Because it's not sufficient for me to say, in Islamic social finance, I want to give zakat, but the money is from money laundering or financing of terrorism. Then I will still not be doing it. So Islamic social finance, therefore, in terms of its principle, it's end-to-end, from the collection to the administration to the disbursement. Everything must be very much in compliance with the rules and regulations as set by the regulators, and of course guided by the principles of Sharia. Another one is that it's a blend of spirit and metrics. So when I give sadaqah, I don't give it just because I have excess. Not everybody that has excess can give. You are giving it because there is a conviction that beyond you giving that amount of money, there is a reward that is accruing to you. So it's more like a deposit that you are going to get, or it's like an investment of some sort. Spiritual investment, if I may say, that you are going to get something later on. So when you do it, you also don't do it to show off. You say the best thing is the one you give with the right hand and the left hand does not know. So there are things that come around it. This is if you are looking at it strictly from a philanthropic point of view. But however, if you want to look at it from a commercial point of view, what still makes Islamic finance, Islamic social finance, distinct, or in terms of its principles, is that beyond the Sharia governance, there should also be what we call the fiduciary responsibility, because there seems to be a lot of reputational risk. If you look at what we are having today, Palestine again is facing a lot of issues. There are so many organizations coming up. But again, we also have in the news that maybe not all of them are altruistic. Maybe not all of them are doing it for the right purpose. The funds could be going elsewhere, for crying out loud, as the case may be. So the point is, what makes Islamic social finance distinct in terms of its principle is that underneath it is, first, it is built on the premise of compassion, altruism, and benevolence. Two is that both the receiver and the giver have responsibility. I cannot be a perpetual zakat recipient, for example. I just want to relax. I feel very complacent. Don't worry, another one would come. Another one would come. I should also strive. Islam does not promote indolence. Is that okay? I should also strive so that I become a donor and things like that. And beyond that, as a recipient, the donors also have to do it, if it is zakat, for instance, in excess of, once they measure the nisab and you are entitled to doing so. It's a principle, it's a pillar of Islam. It's not a matter of choice. You could be saying the Shahada, you could be praying Salat regularly, you could have performed Hajj, you could also fast in Ramadan, but zakat is also a pillar of Islam. And I think this is an aspect, maybe later we'll get to that, needs to be spoken to. Malaysia is a bit advanced, but in my part of the world, one of the things I've realized is that people mistaking zakat al-fitr for the zakat. As long as I say zakat, but that is not the zakat. And how do I pay on my salary? How do I pay on my agricultural produce? How do I pay on my jewelries? How do I pay on my properties, and so on and so forth? So there are rules and regulations, and who is entitled to collect it? Is that okay? And what are the rules? So these are the things that, in my opinion, are some of the key principles that speak to the specificities of Islamic social finance from collection, administration, and disbursement point of view. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Back to you, Dato. Now, having this vast experience in the banking sector, especially Islamic finance, now how do you see Islamic finance, especially in your bank, in contributing to its social finance? Because as far as this is possible, like laymen, they always complain, going back to Islamic finance is a bit expensive. So can you report on that? Thank you.
Before I answer your question, can I just highlight two more things? I forgotten to announce, I have my personal assistant, Cik Najmi, today with me. He is also ex-MBA student from UITM Pochala. So, those yang graduating soon, kalau nak kerja prima, cari Najmi. Kalau nak kerja dengan Islamic Bank, cari the two ladies in front. We are hiring people in both organizations, Prima and MBSB Bank. Yes, Doctor. A question that you asked me, I would like to answer first. If you Google MBSB Bank Sustainability Mission Statement, and it clearly mentioned they aim to foster Islamic values by, number one, contributing and investing in our customers and community to improve quality of life. Number 2, delivering innovative financing solution in a fair, inclusive, and transparent system. And number 3, prioritizing environmental stewardship and social responsibility whilst delivering value of sustainable. I think that is the bigger, how do I say, perspective to look on social finance. We are not just giving finance, we are promoting some other values beyond that. The other thing when I talk about sustainability, ESG, and also financial inclusion, that I mentioned just now, I'd like to quote here. United Nations has estimated that achieving social development goals will create at least 12 trillion of market opportunities and 380 million new jobs globally. And this is what people are saying. How big is the ecosystem of Islamic social finance that we are talking about? Now, let me add a few more items, straight to the point when you ask me, how can we support this initiative? Immediately come to my mind is that in MBSB Bank, we are now coming up with an Islamic social finance program. It is called Asnafpreneurship. Asnafpreneurship, where the tagline is that no Asnaf will be left behind. So I will not go into the technical part of it, but I think the message is that most of FI, whether it's Bank Islam, Bank Muammar, or Islamic banks, are now moving forward in taking this as another source of funding, as well as source of innovation to come up, not to assist the Asnaf, but to create a more economic, vibrant ecosystem among the recipients. We also come up with another program, it's called GRAP, G-R-A-P, Growth Entrepreneurship Assistance Program. And this is utilizing our Zakat funds, where we have Zakat funds and we contribute, and we do a process in between, whereby we will finance growth of those in B40 that wanted to start any kind of business that they wanted to do. So, what brother is saying is not just receiving zakat, but we are trying to, expand the zakat benefits, and whatever benefits from the zakat investment can be utilized back for bigger and better benefits to everybody.
Thank you very much, Dr. Azrul. Now back to Dr. Adilok Wali. I mean, we have very much listened to Dato just now on the importance of having social finance. Now, as a regulator here, I mean, how do you come to monitor the whole process that comes in? I mean, we have so many cases in which we have all these institutions coming in and taking donations from the public for the sake of humanity, those kind of things. Now, what would be the IFSB's views on this, and to counter, the solution on this, especially when it comes to so-called there's non-transparency here.
Yeah, thanks so much. Maybe I just give a caveat here. The IFSB is a prudential standard setting body. We don't regulate. Bank Negara, for instance, would regulate Islamic banking. We develop the standards upon which the regulation takes place. And at times, because we look at this from an international perspective, the onus therefore will be on the regulator within the jurisdiction to localize, look at the global practices, but in view of local reality. So there are certain things that are permissible here that may not be permissible elsewhere. So the regulation is not so much of our own responsibility. But nonetheless, we do set the standards, we develop the prudential standards to ensure the soundness, stability, resilience of that particular segment of the Islamic financial services industry. By the way, the industry is worth about $3.25 trillion at the moment, with about 65% in Islamic banking, about 30% or thereabouts in the Islamic capital market, including sukuk funds and so on and so forth, and of course the remaining in Takafu. Now, what we realize is that this is the formal segment because they are institutionalized. But the informal, where you have most of the, what do you call it, social finance. I don't know if you have seen, at times you go to the mall, you see somebody with the box, you know, with some sticker on it and things, this is from this madrasa or that madrasa, you know. I mean, the Muslim in you would give because this is for a social cause. But it doesn't go beyond that. At times they give you some things to sign. No, I don't need to sign. Why do you need my details? It's just 5 ringgit, it's just 10 ringgit. But it comes to a multitude. Is that okay? So, what we have seen therefore is that in most jurisdictions, there is this regulatory fragmentation, whereby the formal institutions are captured under the regulators or supervisors, Bank Negara, Securities and Exchange Commission, Securities Commission Malaysia, and so on and so forth. But you have the Waqf under the religious ministry and things like that, which may take care of all the religious consideration that pertains to that part of social finance, and therefore may not have anything to do with the prudential. But you also have instances where you have, like for instance, the Waqf-linked sukuk. Waqf itself is a social finance, it's under the religious ministry, but the sukuk is under the Securities Commission. So how do you marry all this kind of regulatory fragmentation? At times it also brings confusion. So what we do at the IFSB is basically to look at global practices. What is it that they have done across jurisdictions? Then what, on the basis of proportionality, can be adopted in a particular jurisdiction without imposing. We provide what we call the best practices or guiding principles, then jurisdictions will be able to pick that up. And we have a few examples, and that also reflects in the way they are defined. For example, in Malaysia, the definition of what they call Islamic social finance does not include for-profit institutions like micro-takaful and Islamic microfinance. They are not included as part of Islamic social finance unless they involve in the intermediation of philanthropic capital. This means that institutions are considered part of ISF only when they facilitate the utilization of the philanthropic funds. So when you mobilize zakat funds and you park in a bank, and the bank is also involved in the distribution because they know the customers, they have the reach and things like that, only then that activity is considered ISF. But the institution itself is not ISF. But in Indonesia, which is the neighboring country here, ISF practices extend to Islamic banks. In fact, they have just recently passed a new resolution that allows the bank to be part of the Nazil, you know, because they have more transparency, they have more governance structure, you can trace the funds and so on and so forth. So that is not possible in Malaysia. So the point here is that the function of the IFSB is to look at these practices and make recommendations. In fact, we had a project we did together with the IMF and the AMF. AMF is the Arab Monetary Fund, you know, an organization of all central banks in the Arab region. And of course, you know the IMF, International Monetary Fund, and the IFSB. We engaged in the research because there was a claim that the Islamic finance industry is very susceptible to money laundering and financing of terrorism. Because, you know, at times it's difficult to say something important. I'm finding the right word, you know, because this is on YouTube. Fortunately, Prof. Redas mentioned that it's live stream, so I have to choose my words carefully. The principle is if you have not said anything, nobody would ask you to repeat yourself. So I have to, all right. So the point is, in that research, of course, the IMF could not continue with us. At some point, they pulled out for some reasons, which, of course, we don't have to mention. But we did conclude with the AMF. The point was that Islamic finance is prominent in a number of countries. Some of these countries are those that have been flagged based on the Financial Action Task Force as not having proper governance to ensuring that funds that are mobilized through Waqf, through Zakat, through Sadaqah and things like that are channeled to the right cause. Perhaps there could be leakages to financing terrorism, or perhaps there could be leakages to provide a conduit for money laundering. Alhamdulillah, we did a very thorough research. and it's available on the IFSB website for free download. I think it's IFSB Working Paper number 13, or if I'm not mistaken, yes, IFSB Working Paper number 13, where the conclusion was the fact that whoever wants to launder money will do so, whether it is through Islamic or through conventional, as long as they find the loopholes to do that. So to just give the label that because social finances are not regulated would not be a very good conclusion. That would be an overstretched assumption. But then should we just hold our hands? You know, there is a saying in Africa that if you are alleged that you have just left the washroom and you have not cleaned properly, would you pull down your trousers to prove that? You don't have to do that, you know. But again, the onus is on you to say that. So how about we also take the front role, and the IFSB has done that. You know, we not only did that working paper, we have also followed up to ensuring that we have guiding principles that jurisdictions can follow to ensuring that money laundering and financial terrorism is not linked to Islamic finance. Banks are also encouraged to increase their STR, suspicious transaction reporting. You know, don't say because in Islamic finance, you know, on the Musharaka arrangement or Mudaraba, the banks provide the financing as the Rabbul Mal, they give me the financing as the Mudarib. If anything happens, because it is profit and loss sharing, then the bank will lose the money, I also lose my effort and things like that. So the bank wants to keep quiet. And of course, there is reputational risk. No, we have encouraged them. Please, if you have any of such, it is also part of Islam to be very transparent and to disclose. So what we have done is we don't bring about regulation. Regulations depends on each jurisdiction. But we have principles, we have standards on disclosure practices, we have standards on conduct of business, we have standards on transparency, we have standards on investor protection, and so many of these areas, and they are all available for free download. So I encourage the students, maybe later on we'll get to the tips where, what it is that they can do. But again, I just want to encourage that today you are on that side of the divide. Like Dato did mention, in some years to come, you will also be on this side of the divide. Because when Dato was on that side of the divide, some people were here. And they have passed on the button. He has collected it very well. And so you also have to be up and doing. Don't be complacent. It doesn't end in the classroom. I was very impressed when Prof was mentioning the number of persons that have interacted with you in this, ICANN, FBM ICANN week and things like that. It's an opportunity you should take, and it's a rarity for you to find such opportunities. So don't just attend the events. What is it that you are bringing out from it that complements what you learned in the class and that prepares you for the future on the basis of the 7 P's principle? Proper planning plus prayer prevents poor performance. Thank you.
Thank you, Allah, and he's the right person if you want to talk to, especially when you have headache. Yeah. Dato, again, we need your insights here when it comes to challenges and opportunities. How do you see how far we can go with Islamic social finance, especially when it comes to equitable distribution? Thank you.
I'm trying to focus on the opportunities rather than challenges. I think we are not in an ideal situation. Let's agree on that. There will be never a time that everything is perfect. Right? So it's not an ideal situation. Typically, the challenges would be issues on regulatory and legal frameworks, the complexity of some of the structures and transaction, the way that they look at risk management and all types of risks involved, as well as in Islamic finance, liquidity management is another key challenges that a lot of FIs are having. But having said that, I think times have changed. I really encourage everybody in this room, either the lecturers as well as students. There's no harm of coming up with an idea. Just put the idea down. The world is different now. We are now open, and be ready for any opportunity in front of us. Focus on the solution rather than focus on the challenges. When we talk about opportunity, personally, I think Islamic social finance has provided plenty of opportunities, and it has a positive track record both locally and globally. I'll share some stories in Malaysia, and maybe Doctor can share some in the Middle East as well. Some of us know that Menara Bank Islam. Bank Islam Tower was built under a Imarah Wakaf program. If you go to KL, Menara Bank Islam used to be owned by a very philanthropist guy who wakaf that building for Bank Islam. And look at how Bank Islam has grown now. People from Penang, Kak Batuan, there is a housing scheme called Siti Aisyah Housing Estates. Dia wakafkan UDA, UDA UDA datang and develop that housing development. Not only that, they are also looking at funding it through end financing under a wakaf program. Obviously, IBIM. I think we mentioned about IBIM. If you have time, Google My Wakaf, MYWAKAF. My Wakaf. There's plenty of activities is being done. We mentioned about microfinancing and crowdfunding using social finance. This is an area that we can explore. A couple of weeks ago, I was in a conference of IT, and believe it or not, in Malaysia, there are 307 fintech companies. So they are eating the bank's pie. And their fintech is not overall. They do a bit of remittance, they do a bit of payment system, they do a bit of everything, from the banks. And 307 fintechs company. And what I was impressed was, maybe your generation tak tahu, but Prof and Dr. Rosmadi tahu lagu Hotel California. Oh, you all tahu ada lirik dalam tu, we are the prisoners of our own device. Maksudnya, people are all going for fintech lah. We are prisoners of our own device. And all of us, including me now. So clearly, the areas of crowdfunding, microfinancing, Islamic finance to digital is an area that we can look forward. I want to also mention about the Sadaqah House by Bank Islam. Now we are moving into some very, I would say, investment instruments that are highly interesting. They are coming up with unit trust, they are coming up with investment opportunity that is based on value-based impact investment and ESG. For the global example, this is even interesting. And Doctor, please, in some of the Middle East country, they are wakaf fruits for all. That means dia tanam, siapa nak makan, makan. Wakaf to fund marriage expenses. Not for me and my wife tak ada. But they even have wakaf pool to fund those who are not in a position to get married, and they fund the marriage. So the point I'm raising is that there's no limitation or boundary of how social finance, Islamic social finance, can assist and help the entire nation to enhance equitable distribution. I'm not sure whether I'm jumping the gun, tapi I think you allow that. There is one classic case, and go back and research. Search Danone Grameen case. Danone tahu Danone? Biscuit. Biscuit Danone and Grameen. This has happened in Bangladesh, whereby they joint venture between Danone and Grameen, and it's purely done through the poor people. They take as a worker and they sell cheap biscuits. So it's an overall value chain, in supporting the Islamic social justice. I have plenty more to share, but I think we stop now and then allow Dr. Abidin to say and help out. Yeah, thank you.
And thank you very much, Dr. Edgar, for the wonderful illustration of Islamic social finance. So coming to that, Dr. Adiwale, how do you see the opportunities again, which is also present in today's world in addressing poverty, education, health issues, a war that we're currently having, and war would then come to Malaysia and Australia. So how do you see that from that perspective? Thank you.
Thanks so much, Dr. Isma. On a very sincere note, I think Islamic social finance is not only a reactionary instrument or tools, as it were. It can also be preemptive. It can also be preventive, because there will not be chaos. There will not be wars. There will not be fracas if, for instance, we stick to the principle of equitable distribution. One of the things that creates problem is that the haves want to have more, and those who don't have want to have, but they are oppressed from having. So what we find in that kind of situation is that there is the oppressed and there is the oppressor, and that in itself is minifying the relative importance or significance of Islamic social finance, as it were. And that's why today we have the SDGs, we have the SLAs, we have all those things, COP and all those. But poverty is still an issue. Financial inclusion is still an issue. In fact, poverty, my PhD was on poverty alleviation, and I was looking at intergenerational transmission of poverty, where poverty is viewed as a transient phenomenon. The child of a poor person would most likely become poor also, because just like the children of the rich would inherit property, the children of the poor will inherit poverty, because there is missed opportunity right from start. The quality of healthcare, the quality of education, and the natural tendency to be aggressive because of missed opportunities, because of the right thing. Then, like we say in Africa, that to the extent that the poor man is awake, the rich man cannot sleep. It's just simple logic, and that is what is creating the problems. So the developed economies cannot have respite, because people would always risk their life to cross across the sea from Africa to Italy and die on the ice sea or whatever, because they are looking for opportunities. But they can remain where they are with institutions of zakat, with instruments of zakat, waqf and things like that. Things can go wrong. The concept of in economics, we talk about concept of choice. We talk about concept of wants. We talk about concept of we say human needs are insatiable. But what Allah has provided to satisfy it goes round. It's our distributive mechanism. And now it's not only in terms of worldly things, even the way we distribute intellect. You can imagine during COVID, where there are countries that had enough vaccines, and there are some that had none. But you see Allah in His Majesty are taking care of these things. Because you start wondering, you see the statistics, every minute, certain number of persons are dying of cholera. Every minute, certain minutes, you start wondering, then where are these people still coming from? If everybody dies every second, then where is this number still coming from? Look at the number of cows, lembu, right, that are slaughtered in the abattoir every day. Then you start and look at how long it takes the cow to be pregnant to have one. They don't breed like pigs. You understand what I'm saying? But then look at how many that are slaughtered. You start wondering, if we slaughter every, so how do they procreate? Where do they come from? That is not what it is metaphysical. It is beyond our reasoning. That's why it is both revelation and reasoning. You understand what I'm saying? So the point here is therefore that the challenges would remain, the opportunities would be minified to the extent that we don't work on our redistributive mechanism. I don't believe that things cannot go right. Look at the way we are seated here, very organized. You can imagine if just one person owns the entire of this wing, and all those that are seated, they have to manage here. You can imagine the chaos and things like that. Whereas it can as well go around. So all the concept of Islamic social finance is saying therefore is that the excess you have over the things that you need, there will be those who have not even met that. So by default, if that is taken care of, and those who receive also don't become indolent, then things can be done. But again, there are challenges, and I'll just mention a few of them so that I take the opportunity. I've mentioned about regulation, regulatory fragmentation, and I don't want to flog about that today. But there's also the issue of limited expertise and human resource. You see, social finance is not also a regular activity. When I see people with the box, and then they have the sticker, at times they have like ID and things like that. How do I verify? How do I know where you are from? And I keep seeing you all the time, each time I go to a particular shopping mall. After some time, I don't want to give because I don't know if it's having any impact. Then there's the issue of data. Who is receiving what? And what impact is it having? Because it cannot be perpetual like that. We have to start seeing impact. How do we even measure it? Who are we comparing to? Is it the same person before he receives the assistance and after he receives the assistance, or those who have received compared to those who have not received? So which mechanism? How do we measure and things like that? So that is also an issue. There is also the issue of lack of coordination among multiple regulators. This is also an issue. In most jurisdictions, Islamic social finance cannot grow. Even though I said earlier, Islamic financial services industry is worth about $3.25 trillion. The Islamic social finance is worth more than that, far more than that. But where are they? Nobody knows, nobody has any accounts. We just know by estimate that Waqf properties alone, if you look at the value, they go into their billions. So zakat collection, they go into their billions. So people are not doing enough. Egypt is a very classical example. Islamic finance in Egypt is about 9% of their total financial system. 9%, not even up to 10%. But the zakat collection is 70%. So you start wondering, if you collect as much as 70%, but the industry on the other side is just about 9%, then where do this collection go? Who accounts for the recipients and the utilization? Then you have the issue of rapid pace of technological advancements. We cannot stand back in. I think in the case of Malaysia, I want to comment, Global Sadaqah is doing a lot of work, based on ethics. And then there is also Fintera that is doing a lot in terms of blockchain wakaf and things like that. And so many other initiatives that are ongoing. That is the way to go. Technology is not just for us to watch Netflix at the comfort of wherever we are, or for us to make video call or TikTok. It's also to deploy it to ensuring that we have what we call, there is also identity poverty. People also don't have identity. Not everybody can have an IC, not everybody can have a phone and things like that. But how do we bring them on stream based on technology to ensure that the intent of Islamic social funds finance is there? Then the last one, of course, is limited financing availability, and it is true. We said it is 70% in some countries, we said it is worth trillions, but it can also be very concentrated because there is this perception that it's only the rich that can give. No, everybody can give. Everybody can give. You only give to the extent of your capability. So if Dr. Isma here can give 10,000 ringgit and I can give 1 ringgit, it is still about giving. Because at the end of the day, it's a pool. It comes together and we can solve the problem. Because what issue that particular money would solve would be very advantageous to her and would be very advantageous to me. But of course, the more she gives, the more reward she also gets, assuming our intent is a constant, because that's another issue altogether. So these are the things, but again, there are risks involved, and I've mentioned about mission drifts earlier. The tendency is there at times, if Islamic social finance institutions are not well regulated and supervised, for them to become commercial oriented. And as a result, they rent offices in the heart of KL, for example, on the 27th floor, and they're posh offices, posh official cars. I mean, not that they should look rugged and things like that, because if you want to ask for funds, I also look at the way you appear. The way you appear, the way you are dressed, is the way you are addressed, isn't it? So, but then it should not mean that the funds should now be, mobilized for social purpose, but then, it is being used for some other things. Of course, Sharia non-compliant risk, if anything happens, it is going to trigger reputational risk. And the way this happens in the financial industry is that it's like a domino effect. Because where the words of mouth can travel to, it takes even a supersonic jet years to reach it. Because once I tell you something now, You tell another person, I just post on TikTok or post on that, it's gone. It's difficult to retract. So reputational risk is also very high. Of course, I've talked about cyber security risk, technology risk, money laundering, legal and regulatory risk, and the last one, sustainability risk. So that is where it becomes very tricky. They don't want to be commercialized as institutions, but then they also have to survive. So the fine line is very, very difficult. May Allah grant hidayah so that things are done rightly, and so that we do the right things, and we do things rightly. All right, thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Do you want to continue the discussion on how the social finance address opportunities, poverty? All right, so I guess now it's your turn, especially for the students, the audience. So you may raise your hand and give out your questions to the panel of experts here. Please state your name and the question, please. Thank you.
Can I ask the first question, Doctor? Yeah? This is for all of you. My question is that, should you be kind or should you be nice? Any answer? Do I be nice to you or do I be kind to you?
Nice.
Semua dapat jawapan betul lah. So cukup hadiah kita. I think yes. Yeah. One of the topics given to us is to share some tips and trick on your career path. I think we should spend 10-15 minutes on this item, and if you're okay, let me start. So I asked the question, should we be kind or should we be nice? And jawapan dia be kind, not be nice. Don't be nice to me, but be kind to me. I think one of the traits that performed by Dr. Firdaus tadi, he mentioned that a hard-working Dr. Dila. So what does that mean? It means that you don't say good thing about yourself. You actually do and empower your staff that they are better than you are. We all know he's the top, kan? Tapi being at the top, he mentioned the hardworking Dila. And that's a very powerful mechanism when you want to have a very good supporting team. Before I pass to Doctor, second question. Do you make caring decision or do you make daring decision?
Caring decision.
Caring, Daring decision. You make caring decision, not daring decision. Daring is a subset of caring. One more item, Doctor. One win versus all wins. Yang tengah tu kata one. Bukan, all wins. It's not just one person win. We should try and get everybody wins in that situation. And that young, I got it somewhere when I was in China. Besar-besar dia tulis, all wins doesn't mean anything, but it's all about all wins. I stop there. I have a few more to share with all of you. Over back to you, Doctor.
Dr. Aldo, for sharing about the beautiful guidance now and for future undertakings. And I guess we have to go back to you and having to pose questions to the panel of experts here. So I guess Dato will have the gift for the students. Cepat. Lelong. Any last questions from the floor? You may state your name, over here. Any microphone for the gentleman? Thank you.
Hello. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. My name Muhammad Afwal Hakim Ismail. I'm final year in Islamic banking student. So here I have two questions. The first one is, has the International Monetary Fund prepared to focus on Islamic finance? So that's the first question. And the second one is what role does fintech play in advancing Islamic social finance, and what innovative fintech solutions have emerged to facilitate the promotion ethical and a Sharia compliant financing service with the Islamic finance framework?
Any of the guests would like to? Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much. I was bothered when nobody was going to ask questions. That would be very un-UITM-like, because last time I ran some workshops here on statistics, those were some of the best workshops I've ever conducted, because the active engagement of the students and the kind of questions they ask you make you extra prepared. So I wasn't really disappointed, therefore, when you eventually decided to come out and you had asked this very important question. The Islamic Monetary Fund, International Monetary Fund, IMF, is also a member of the IFSB. And because we cater to specificities of Islamic finance, they have considered that to us. So whatever they do at that level, we also do. For instance, they have their Global Financial Stability Review. We also issue the Islamic Financial Stability Report. You understand what I'm saying? Then they are involved in our working groups for our standards. They are also involved in our committees, in things that we do, and we also have joint events with them. So it should be, in my view, quite superfluous and duplicating if they also have to create that. However, it doesn't mean that they don't have an Islamic finance department there. But what they have there is to look more at macroeconomic implications. So when they do, for instance, their financial sector assessment program, which we call EFSA, is that okay? They would not only look at the entire financial system. So if they come to Malaysia, for instance, they would go to Bank Negara, look at the entire financial system of Malaysia. But Islamic finance, Islamic banking in Malaysia is about 33-35%. That is quite a huge chunk. So how would you assess that if you don't look at the IFSB documentation? So in that case, they bring us onto their team. We are involved in their mission. So when it comes to issue of specificity, we take care of those, and the entire report would now have, not only the conventional, but the Islamic part. However, I like to say that not all countries yet are members of the IFSB, because in some jurisdictions, Islamic finance is just very, very small. But it would also be interesting to know that our membership also cuts to some countries that are not even very prominent in terms of Islam or maybe population. Bank of China is our member, Hong Kong Monetary Authority is our member, Bank of England, BaFin in Germany, the Monetary Authority of Germany, Luxembourg, and so on and so forth. So these are European countries with very minimal Islamic Muslim population, but they have seen the fact that this is the future, this is the way to go. Because at the end of the day, it's not only about the mechanics, it's also about the spirit. And in that case, they are also our members. If I may just touch quickly on the fintech, I'll allow Dato to speak to that, but just briefly also, that we are not also complacent, we are not being unmindful. Digitalization is moving very fast. We have issued a few of our working papers focusing on those, not only in Islamic banking, but also other aspects. And then we have also recently completed a working paper on Islamic social finance, part of which we have looked at Islamic social fintech. Is that okay? Which in itself is another niche. But some of the interesting things, if I may just share, is to say that why technology is neutral, because the way I use technology is the way a non-Muslim use technology. But the underlying use may be very important. And I give an example. If you buy something online and you have a mobile wallet, it's fine. So the question I would just ask is, by the time I put money in the wallet, I'm not spending it entirely, isn't it? The time the money is with you, what are you doing with it? It has to be something that is Sharia compliant. I don't have control over that. It's a contract based on qard. Qard is like a benevolent loan. So in case the company goes bankrupt, am I willing to part with my money, or I have to say they still hold me? If I still say they hold me, then it's not corrupt. It's a kind of debt transaction because my money is with them. But again, you know, the more you buy, the more reward you get, isn't it? The more you buy, the more reward you get. Feedback, right? Now, at times it is conditional, and as a result, I want to buy more. But if I'm giving you corrupt, it's a benevolent loan, I shouldn't get anything on it. So it will raise a Sharia issue. Or is it musharaka, whereby my money is with you on a partnership basis? But then if the company runs into default, am I willing to part away with my money, say we are sharing profit and loss together? No. But they don't also give me part of the profit they make. So how can it be musharaka? So these are questions that you can raise. Is that okay? In terms of the principles of Sharia underlying the contract upon which that particular technology has been deployed. So the fault is not in the technology itself. It's the process of how we have integrated technology into the operational mechanism of Islamic finance. I hope it's not too inundating in a way, you know. But the point is just to say that there is fintech in Islam, and both are disruptive. Islamic finance is disruptive. Fintech is also disruptive. You cannot imagine what operational synergy that exists between them, and when they are both deployed, I think the entire financial ecosystem stands to benefit from it. Sorry, Dr. I've taken into your time. Thanks so much.
I think your question, fintech, using fintech to promote Islamic social finance. Let me encourage you, let's try in this room, whether you want to have a pool of sadaqah, they can bring it each, or a full of zakat that we have to pay at 2.5, and do a business model on how you want to, number one, have the source of funding. First, of course, with no returns, just to see how we can use that funding. But the point that we wanted to raise, why do we use fintech? Number one, because of the efficiency, the transparent and fast moving to people. People doesn't have to go to banks, for example. So short answer to that, yes, please develop more innovative fintech surrounding Islamic finance, but make sure you add in the new trend that we spoke tadi tu, the AI into it, the blockchain behind it, because that is the moving forward thinking. Terima kasih.
Thank you very much, Dato, as well as Dr. Joani. Any questions again from the floor? Thank you. Please state your name.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Ani Sabrina. I'm in my second year of economic business. My question is, how does sadaqah complement other forms of Islamic social finance like zakat? And what are the key ways in which sadaqah contributes to support community welfare and development? Thank you.
In your view, Dano?
Thanks so much, sister. Sadaqah is one of the various instruments that or tools that we can have in Islamic social finance. And interestingly, in our research that we have done, we have looked at Islamic social finance instruments across a number of divides. We have looked at the way IFSB views it. We have looked at how the Islamic Research and Training Institute, IRT in Jeddah, views it. We have looked at how Islamic Relief Worldwide views it, and we have looked at how United Nations view it also. What we have realized is that Sadaqah is one of the so many instruments that all these institutions acknowledge as one of the social finance. The reason is, the point here is that, for instance, IFSB considers NGOs as part of Islamic social finance institution, but others don't see it from that point of view. But when it comes to the issue of Sadaqah, we are all, in terms of agreement to say that it's a very important one. And why is it important? Because it is more flexible. Zakat has the nisab, it has the asnaf that you can give it to, it has the collection, the disbursement. But Sadaqah is more flexible and things like that. But it also has its own issue. Because of that flexibility, it's very difficult to track. And it's more on a personal whatever, you don't know how much, but you can only guess to say that in itself, it's encouraged because it fulfills immediate need. Zakat may have to be pulled, for example, then they want to address certain social issues, but sadaqah can be instant, it is unilateral, one-way direction. I wouldn't know if you have given sadaqah this morning, and it doesn't mean you cannot still give this afternoon, as the case may be. And it also gives you a lot of rooms for you to determine who the person or the recipient would be and things like that. So I would say it's a very important tool, and it's very encouraged. And as students, you may not have reached the nisab to pay zakat yet. Of course, some of you can be very rich also, especially if you are from UITM. But nonetheless, I think sadaqah is what you have to imbibe. If you ask me in pecking order, it is the tool that helps you to inculcate that caring that Dato was talking about. It starts from there. It's not something that you build when you already have money, when you become rich. It even becomes more difficult when you become rich to give, if you have not been given when you had little and things like that. So I would say it's a very important tool that you can use to enhance your caring attitude, and it can also be institutionalized. I do know that in Africa, I know that they also try to collect some sadaqah, but usually it's from some purpose. So they say, oh, there's somebody who is stranded. He's traveling from this city to that city, and he cannot go further because he has exhausted his funds, and they ask for sadaqah. They collect and things like that. So in a way, it's institutionalized. They write down how much they have collected, to whom they have given that, so that this person don't go to another mosque or don't go to another place and things like that. But again, it's still very, very informal. Thanks so much for your question. I hope I've answered in a way, but if not, you can take the discussion further afterward. Thank you.
Let me just add a few points. Obviously, sadaqah in Malaysia is quite common when we have some emergency items, when banjir, food and sebagainya, sadaqah will come into picture. But what I will add is that please use technology in managing and facilitating that sadaqah contribution. That will give you transparency. That will give you efficiency in monitoring that sadaqah. I think that's a way forward. If I can share that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Can I have another one? Please, all right. Please go to the mic, gentleman, brother. Fadal Mashkura, please state your name and the question.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Nasrullah and I'm from Islamic Banking. My question is, how to what needs to be done to improve suku market. Thank you.
Terima kasih. What needs to be done to motivate sukuk or to enhance sukuk issuance? There are two folds of that question. Number one, we have to understand why do people use sukuk as a financial instruments to issue first. But I'll skip that question based on understanding that maybe it's long-term, cheaper. But over the years, you have seen there's so many sukuk has been done based on the ESG that we have mentioned. People raise long-term sukuk on, we call it green financing in the bank. And it's clearly to help some of the target of ESG portfolio. For example, carbon to emission, the net zero strategy. So I would foresee the next 3 to 5 years, Islamic sukuk or green sukuk will continue to be important instruments for people to raise funding.
Thank you, Dato'. as another to what Dato has said, of course, Sukuk, we have come to realize, is one of the key instruments in the Islamic capital market segment of the industry. And it's really the fastest growing segment. As of last year, 2022, the growth was about 30% year on year. That is huge, if you ask me. But then it's also being linked to social finance now. Sukuk creatine, for example, if you come closer home during COVID, you recall, and I think an offshoot from that was used for the IT card, scheme, which very fantastic. Not only providing seed capital, also provides some form of training and microfinancing and things like that. And in Indonesia, we also have the cashback linked Sukuk, which is also, doing tremendously well in meeting the social needs of people. So, as an instrument, Sukuk itself can be factored into Islamic social finance. And it's not only, the regular Sukuk, and that's why I mentioned green Sukuk. We also have green Sukuk, of course, environment and things like that. We also have the blue Sukuk that has to do with issues of the ocean and water. You have the brown Sukuk, the one that has to do with the deserts and things like that. So, a lot of things, are going on in the industry, and I do think that as students, we should not only understand these concepts, but we should start understanding how they can be integrated, so that they are all Sharia compliant. How about we explore the synergy that exists among them and come up with products that Sharia scholars can, interrogate and give some fatwa on their permissibility or otherwise, but with the intent that at the end of the day, we have more options. The only way of deepening the capital market, the only way of strengthening the Islamic financial services industry is to be very ingenious, not to be complacent, to look at what we have to get what we need. Thanks so much, Dr. Ismail. And I think I always forget this each time I write it down, but by the time I give my comment, I forget. I'm also here with my colleague, Brother Arif. I'm sorry that it's a late identification. It's on secondment to the IFSB from the Autoritas Jasa Kewangan, OJK, Indonesia. So it's on secondment to the IFSB. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much again, Dr. Adiwale, as well Dr. Azrul. Is there any more questions? Please take this opportunity. Yeah, we have one.
Okay, Assalamualaikum.
All right.
Hello, my name is Amin, Islamic banking student, final year. Okay, I have one question. Based on the discussion, how does Islamic social finance benefits in Islamic capital market? That's all. Thank you.
Do you have any more to add from the previous comment just now, or insight? Because just now, Dato and Dr. Adiwale has been addressing that just now, brother. But perhaps, can we have another question? Dapat hadiah ke for your bravery just now? Thank you, Dato. Can we have the next question, please? Ladies? Thank you. Please state your name.
Hello, my name is Nurabila Afrika and I'm from Business Economics, Part 3 student. So my question is, how can digital innovation or technology play a role in expanding the impact of Islamic social finance initiative? Okay, thank you.
Maybe I take this. I think when we talk about digital, it always refers to fast turnaround time, efficiency. Believe it or not, the customer behavior is very erratic. That's what I read, that our decision change every 20 seconds. That's what I read. So if you ask about digitalization and the products, obviously we want digital to be in top of the mind of our prospect or clients. That's what we meant by digitalization. Is the fast channel to reach the client. Whether it's Islamic finance or any other type of finance, digital is always about fast and accuracy. That's what I hope that answered that question.
Thank you, Doctor. You can also check the IFSB working paper 19, it's on digitalization in Islamic banking, and I think another one has been issued afterward. It not only provides the various trends in the industry, it also provides what technology is being used and where, and what challenges they are facing. I think it's high time we started using technology more, if you ask me. We have budget constraints, we have issues of human resource. You are very young people, you don't stay in one organization, you want where you can really explore and things like that. But regulation is also very careful, because innovation can also bring about some instability if you are not very careful, So regulators therefore are caught in between. Do we allow innovation, but then should we also protect the stability and resilience of the market? So it's always a very difficult balance to make. But nonetheless, we have seen a lot of instances where technology is being deployed. I think the most prominent one in the industry now is mobile payments, because it's very easy. There are a lot of things going on in that regard. But the least used one is still blockchain. Not so many things, not so much is happening in the blockchain as much as we would have loved it to be happening. It could also be due to so many other reasons. But again, it has brought a lot of advantages. Transparency, because on a blockchain, you know what is going on. Traceability, it's also not highly susceptible to being changed or fraud as the case may be. Then you also have this onboarding. You don't, for instance, have to leave the comfort of your house for you to open a bank account. So it's promoting financial inclusion, even in jurisdictions where that financial inclusion used to be very, very low last time. Technology has allowed people to be onboarded, because what they require from you last time, if you want to open a bank account, maybe your international passport or your driver's license. I don't have a car. Why would I need one? I don't even plan to travel out. Why do I need a passport that will expire and I have to pay to get? But now, with the fact that technology has your IC, it's linked to your mobile number, it's linked to a number of things. You have a unique identification number that can allow onboarding. And that was why the impact of COVID would have been more. But because of the fact that some level of technology advancement had preceded COVID, we could find a way around it and the industry could still move. But it has quickened the pace, because COVID was a wake-up call to say that, not everything has to be done physically. And I think Malaysia, a trailblazer like it is, had also come up with, the license for digital Islamic banks. I think 2 licenses were issued, and I think one of them, Rajati, she's handling one of them and things like that. So Malaysia is always trailblazing. But the questions we always get asked is, and we had this interaction with Bank Negara also during the sharing of experience session. To say that, these digital banks, Islamic banks, are meant to promote financial inclusion. But we're already doing financial inclusion before this digital bank. Are they doing it in a different way? Are they, based on their explanation, I advise you to read the policy document. You would see the justification, because the intent is value-based intermediation and leveraging on technology. Malaysia is blazing the trail, and most jurisdictions are taking a cue from that. So digitalization is very, very important, and it is receiving the due attention that it deserves, not only from Malaysia but across the globe. If you read the working paper that I've mentioned, we have listed a few practices across various jurisdictions, and you can see what they are doing there. Thank you so much.
Maybe Prof, kita buat my final statement dulu ya. Before I go, I wrote a few things kat sini, and I think it's just fair, saya prepare 2 hari ni, Prof. Saya cakap, it's joking. No, I wanted to mention about another point of adaptability. There is a word say, it is not the strongest of species that survive, nor the most intelligent that survive. It is the one that is most adaptable to change. And so fikir-fikirkan, So adaptability is important. I also want to mention this. Siapa tahu Murphy's Law? Anybody can share what is Murphy's Law? Okay, Murphy's Law says anything that can go wrong will go wrong. And I'm here to say, please challenge that Murphy's Law. And you can challenge that Murphy's Law if you follow processes and use factual. Last but not least, and this is, I always do that in any of my institution that I'm in, keep an open door policy, open mind, and open heart. And since Prof tadi ada bagi pantun, it's not fair kalau saya tak balas pantun tu sebelum saya habis. And it's a very short, dua ni je Prof, pantun dia. Pagi-pagi minum kopi bersama ginseng. Datang ke UITM has always been refreshing. Terima kasih.
Alright, just get a question from the organizer for us to drag the program. I mean, they are waiting for the undergrads to join us as well. So I hope you don't mind the panel of speakers here. So again, we welcome more questions from you and I guess more goodies from Dato. Alright, thank you. Please proceed to the microphone. Thank you.
Hello, Assalamualaikum. I am Zahra, the first semester student from Islamic banking. I have a question. In your opinion, how does Islamic social finance intersect with fiscal policy? Thank you.
Wow, tough question. Alright, over to you, Dr. Adiwaya. I guess you're very experienced having all this.
Now I'm scared that the session drags and more difficult questions will come. In the economy, there is a fiscal policy, and there is monetary policy. The central bank or the monetary authority, will drive the monetary policy, and it has to do with money supply, how to manage inflation, how to manage the currency exchange rate, and things like that. They are on the one side of the divide. But there is also the fiscal policy, where you look at macroeconomic policies like tax, for instance, as the case may be, or some deliberate intervention in certain parts of the economy to ensure that they move together. Now, usually, while the central bank will be driving the monetary policy, in some instances it may be the ministry, that is driving the fiscal policy as the case may be, and they have to go together. Now, Islamic social finance can be integrated in both, because in a way, if you give tax exemption or tax holiday, it's a form of social financing because we are given a relief. You recall that also during COVID, there was the moratoria that was given on existing financing that you have with the banks and things like that. So it's a monetary policy because the asset quality of the banks would have spiked because people are not paying. But because they know it's a moratoria that people can defer payment of their existing facilities, it's a form of social finance, it's an intervention. And that's why I said, don't look at it strictly from a zakat or wakaf or sadaqah point of view. It can also be some form of instrument. The most important thing is the intent here. The intent driving it is to remove hardship, to promote distributive justice, and to ensure public interest, as the case may be. So, all the tools that are available in monetary policy. Another one, maybe we have loan to value, or financing to value, that before the banks can give certain funds, the financing they can give, if your house is say 100,000 and the FTV is like 80%, so they can only give you up to 80%, for instance. Is that okay? They cannot give 100% of the value of the asset. But the banks would only follow what the government or the central bank has said. In such situation where things are very tight, the financing to value ratio can be tweaked. It can be reduced or it can be increased, as the case may be. So what I'm trying to say, therefore, is that these instruments of monetary policy exist. The government can mop up excess money in circulation. The government can pump money into circulation because people need to spend, to have access. They can say, okay, you have access to your account 2 of your EPF, as the case may be. You can withdraw to a certain level and things like that. These are decisions that are either taken on the fiscal side or on the monetary policy side. But whatever the case is, the intent aligns with Islamic social finance, which is what? To remove hardship, promote public interest, and ensure distributive justice, so that not only those who have enough would survive, but those who even have little can have access to the little that they have, and the society will have less tension, there will be less social vices, there will be less psychological insecurity, and of course, emotional upset can be unified to its barest minimum. That's the way I want to look at it. Thanks so much. It was a difficult question. I hope I've been able to, answer it.
Any more questions? Economic students, Islamic banking students.
Last question, eh? Nanti saya kerja pantun lagi ni.
Hi, so my name is Nazwa Azura and I'm on my second year of business economics. So I have a question. How do you think important how important do you think education and awareness in promoting acceptance and the understanding of Islamic social finance principles?
Thank you. As a general, education and awareness is very important. But I would like to ask whether, Doctor, maybe we can take a few students from here, come over to ISB, do some awareness, do some learning. That's the real activity rather than talking in general. And to be fair, and Murera, in fact I can talk on behalf of the bank as well as Prima. Any of you would like to have a short stint to learn in the bank? Obviously, it's social finance, but on the Prima side, we can talk about smart homes. We can talk about how do we finance using Islamic finance for the end financing. I'm open for that. But short answer to your question, education, awareness, we'll do that until we go. This is very important. Thank you.
Doctor, you are trying to put me on the spot here. I would not like to allocate so much power to myself because I have not been given the mandate to speak about that. But I'd like to commend Dr. Dila, and please give her a round of applause. Honestly, she had paid a visit to the IMF Secretariat at Bank Ugara, and during that visit, she was not only looking at what possibilities there are for the academic colleagues, what can they do, but she also spoke to the fact that can our students come on internship. So she had already raised this issue on your behalf, and I think we are already having a conversation in that regard. We've mentioned what needs to be done. The nature of what we do can be very helpful to you, although we focus more on the PhD students and the masters, but we have had in the past, bachelor students who would come on, we call it internship. The PhD we call fellowship, we call it internship, and I think it's open. Dr. Dila, maybe we can discuss this later on, but we'll be glad to have UITM students anytime that we have some questions. That much I can say. Then generally, you see, education. You see, what advantage you get when you come to the industry is that some things have not been learned, but they must be remembered. And the deadline is always yesterday. You have to run faster to remain on the same spot, if you understand what I'm trying to say. So it pushes you, but it also brings out that latent talent in you. There are things you don't really know, but that consciousness will be aroused. And, it makes you to be better for it. And I can tell you for free that once you go through such internship program, you are not on the same level with your colleagues. Not only because it looks good on your CV, but you know where you are headed. Because at times the confusion is we have been inundated with so much, from corporate finance to international finance to financial statement analysis to FIC, Muamala and all those. So you don't know where you want to go, but by the time you come to the industry, you can at least define your path and you know what your interest is and how you want to move towards that. So hopefully next time we have this event, 3.0 next year, we'll at least be talking that we have had a few UITM students who have undergone the internship. So thanks so much for raising the issue again, and thanks so much to Kedila for raising it again.
Thank you very much for the comment just now. So, turned out, so I guess we can take a break from teaching, gain some experience. But I don't think my boss is allowing that.
Okay. Yes, I think Dr. Dila would also mention we have also had in the past where we outsourced our working papers. We want to have more interaction with the industries and with the university. We call it relationship between the town and the gown. Is that okay? So we want to have more interactions with the academia. We outsource our working papers. We also would like to, you also can conduct training for us, because there are certain skills that you have that we may lack in the industry. The industry may not have seen it all, and there are things to benefit. So I think a way around it, Dr. Dila, don't leave the efforts where you started off, and let's cement that, let's have a proper MOU, and list out all the benefits that we can achieve and get from each other. I also know that IIUM, for instance, at times some of our colleagues go there, not to teach the entire semester, but maybe once one of the classes in the semester, you have taught all the principles, then we can now come to see how it has been applied in the industry and what outcome is being generated. It gives the students a well-rounded view of what the industry expects, and it also prepares them well for the industry. So these are things we can look at, inshallah. Thank you.
Any more questions? No, I just want to speak. No, just to get the ball rolling again. With regards to your social finance on Prima houses, I mean, now houses are very expensive. How can you help us, especially the students, the graduates?
Is it covered the topic?
Yeah,
quick answer. This year, Prima has completed 10,000 homes. And I use the word homes, bukan homes, because we provide a very high quality homes with proper quality and certified by the CIBD, the world CIBD. The word that I wanted to mention going forward, I think next year we're going to complete another 9,000-10,000 homes for the B40. B40 meaning that we are keeping our price about 15-20% below the normal developer's price. So those who are looking 18 years old and above, or looking to buy property, let us know. Yeah, we have more offers to go with smart homes, and we are everywhere in the country. KL, Sarawak, Sabah, everywhere. So,
Right, thank you very much. Another question, please.
Hello.
How many minutes do we? Sorry, now this will be a last question. Very privileged.
I'm Asif from Islamic Banking, semester 1. So just now, Dr. Azrullah mentioned about the one who survived is the one who most adapt. In the context of economic recovery post-pandemic, how resilient has the Islamic finance sector proven to be, and what adaptation has been necessary?
I think a very good question. Even board member of a bank also thinking about the answer. The last 3 years has been a challenging year, not only for banks, but for everybody. In the bank, we have to understand that people are suffering in terms of their capacity of paying the installment. Therefore, there was a moratorium allowed. Yeah? But out of that COVID, banks are moving towards more of a social an empathy kind of situation. We understand the situation, and banks are ready to help when you are in trouble. So there's so many restructuring, relook at how we can look at your payment capacity again. So as an Islamic bank, social financing is part and parcel of us. Short answer to that, COVID remind us what will happen. It can happen again. Therefore, we need to prepare ourselves. How do we manage this if ever it comes again? Yes, it's going to be difficult, but I think more and more banks are ready to face it in the future. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, questions from first semester students are always very difficult. Because they are not asking from what they have learned, they are asking from what they see and what they feel. COVID was not a very good experience, and we pray that Allah, in His mercy, does not, make us go through those that kind of situation again. What we have seen generally is that the Islamic banks generally, or Islamic finance industry, had built resilience. When the global financial crisis happened in 2007-2008, there was a rush of reforms that was conducted globally, and the Islamic finance industry was also responding to these reforms. However, the first test of resilience that the Islamic finance industry had to go through was COVID. So it was like you had built so much buffer, so much resilience that when it happened, we could cope. However, there was initial fear that if COVID prolonged, then later there was Omicron, and there was this, and we were thinking, then the lockdown from 2 weeks to 2 months, and to a year, then partial lockdown, and so on and so forth. So there was this initial scare that will the banks be able to cope? Don't forget, in addition, there was moratoria, so payments were not being made back, and then you are coping with that. There was restriction of travels, there was so many things. So, but eventually, what we've seen is that there was enough buffer that made the industry to be very, very resilient. The lesson we have taken from that is to say that when regulatory minimums are set, they are just minimum. So if they say the minimum you need to graduate is, say, 100 credit hours, then don't register for 100 credit hours, because if you fail 1 credit, then you're not able to graduate. So take elective courses so you have as much as required credit hours, but when you even do so, be mindful of which are the core credits that you cannot afford to fail. Because it doesn't matter whether you have 1,000 credit hours, some are core, that if you don't pass, you cannot graduate. So if you bring that similitude of analogy to this context, what financial institutions have realized is that there are certain things that are core that they cannot compromise on. They have to build. But there are some that are minimum set. Don't stay on the minimum, even go beyond that if you have that. There is what we call capital conservation buffer and sacrificial buffer. When the going is good, save more. Take an analogy from the story of Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. Says the first 7 years there will be bumper harvest because there is a famine coming later on. But because they had saved certain things, they were able to breathe and they were able to brace the challenge that came. It's the same logic that the institutions have learned, and they are adopting that. In the period of relative calm, economic recovery is coming. Of course, we still have challenges now, because we have challenges of tightening of monetary policies and things like that. Interest rate is high. The ringgit is also struggling and things like that, exchange volatility. But nonetheless, the industry is sound, the industry is stable, the industry is resilient. And it is because of what they have done in the past. They have front-loaded provision. So when it happened, it was easy for them to walk into that. As a parting shot, I just remembered that we also have what we call the prudential and structural Islamic finance indicators. These are data we collect from central banks and other regulators like security commissions and so on and so forth from across the world. It is available for free on the IFSB website. For those students who are conducting research in Islamic finance, we started collecting on a quarterly basis from Q4 of 2013. By now, we have built enough time series for you to conduct various forms of analysis. So if it works also, part of what we'll be discussing with Dr. Dila, maybe we can come to also do a roadshow, for you to introduce you to the data, how is that it has been used, and how you also can use it. Is that okay? Some of the ratios have been calculated. This is the highest level of integrity you can imagine, because any data we collect from Malaysia is directly from Bank Negara with validation by the governor. The governor must append that yes, this can be circulated. So it goes through a very rigorous data. This may be difficult for you as an individual, as a student, to start collecting, but we have already collected. We have also prepared in form of ratios. You can easily just do the analysis, and this helps you to assess the soundness, the resilience, as well as the stability of the industry, and that prepares you again for what goes on in the industry. Lastly, is that we have our financial stability report. Every year we issue this. It covers the entire sector: Islamic capital market, Islamic banking, Islamic takaful. It also covers all countries where Islamic finance is practiced. It also has what we call emerging issues. We look at LIBOR. Maybe you are aware LIBOR has been abolished, so we have moved to a risk-free or some alternative kind of rates now. Then we looked at issues bordering on climate. We looked at issues bordering on digitalization. We have looked at issues on money laundering. So all these issues, as emerging issues, climate, are addressed. All these would help you to know what goes on in the industry, so that when you talk, you pontificate. You talk with confidence. Competence and confidence must go together. As Muslims, as students, as university students, as students of finance, general, not necessarily even Muslims, as students of finance, it is incumbent upon you that when you speak, you also speak with facts that are verifiable, but that also shows that you are very current and conversant with what goes on in the industry. Like I said earlier, for you to stand out, you have to be outstanding. There is no shortcut to it. Thanks so much for your audience, and it's been a very wonderful afternoon in this room.
Thank you very much for both the panels of experts here. You have learned a lot from both of the panels in terms of the development of social finance in general. We have somehow, we would want to express our heartfelt gratitude for both the panels of experts for the industry. In fact, they are being very much motivated to all of us to indulge deeply into the world of Islamic finance, particularly in social finance. Yeah, and for that, we shouldn't forget the real, the real reason we are here in terms of getting Islamic finance within the context of Maqasid Sharia, protection of life, protection of health, wealth. Yeah, you talk about intellect as well as your lineage. So everything covers within the context of Islam. So with that, I guess we extend our deepest again thanks to our exceptional panel of experts. So give a round of applause. They have been a great motivator to us. They have been a great inspiration to us. Yeah. So all of you, in fact myself, learned a lot from both the panels today. And I guess we have to, take away some of their, what do you call this, the things that they have shared to us, especially on the development of social finance. We have also learned some colors here: green finance, blue finance. We have brown finance. I'm not sure what more would come in as well. Yeah. And on that note, I guess I will leave you with another pantun. I guess Dato' Azro cannot, having the opportunity to balas, yeah. I'm not perfect, I know that. Ani patong puti. I make mistakes, I know I do. And I do know that, inshallah, Allah will bless all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to our panelists and moderator. Please kindly return to your seat. اليقين لا يزول بالشك Certainty is not overruled by doubt. We hope that all the knowledge and tips given throughout the talk session will be of help to us gaining certainty in the future.
Asyik ready nanti untuk keluar. Enggak, sama dia sini kan?
Ladies and gentlemen, now I would humbly ask for Yang Berbahagia Professor Dr. Firdaus Abdullah, Dean Faculty of Business and Management on stage for exchange of the memento. Let us witness Yang Berbahagia Professor Dr. Firdaus Abdullah to present a memento of appreciation to our panelists. Now, I would like to cordially invite Yang Berbahagia Dato' Azrul Nizam bin Abdul Aziz, Board of Director MBSB, Chairman Primar Corporation, Malaysia.
Apa yang terbalik? Sebenarnya segini kemasannya.
Next, I would like to cordially invite Yang Berbahagia Dr. Abidin Adiemi Adewale, Acting Assistant Secretary General for Standard Organization, Islamic Financial Services Board. Thank you, Dr. Azrul Nizam and Dr. Abidin. Thank you to Yang Berbahagia Prof. Firdaus Abdullah for presenting the memento to our speakers. You may now kindly return to your seat because we will conduct straight away photo session with the students.
Tapi Datuk tu tak ada lagi.
Tak ada kejap. Mana Datuk tu?
Kau dia boleh lepas lah. Depan ni.
Dia tengah je tadi. Lama pula tanya soalan.
Now everyone, please smile and let's create a one memorable photo.
Cepat, cepat, cepat. cepat sebelah kau sebelah. Kenapa bergambar begitu?
Thank you to
Habiskan je.
everyone.
Dia selampat ke kau boleh.
Ladies and gentlemen, I was just informed that we have an additional event, which is the UOB crowdfunding competition. In the meanwhile, while we're waiting for the participants to present in this hall, we may take a short break before we proceed with the UOB award ceremony. Thank you.
Sana. Asya.
Ladies and gentlemen and students, the break is only 5 minutes, so please stay in the hall to witness this award ceremony. All students, please stay in the hall. The event is not come to an end yet.
tahu banyak seorang keluar weh. Ya, tahu. Masalahnya shoot share QR sekali. Hah? Shoot share QR. Habis ni jadi ada UB punya apa ceremony juga lagi ni. Lepas tu baru habis. Sebab tu aku baru tahu pasal UOB ni. Oh ya ke? Kita orang baru sangat tahu. So macam supposedly student sampai 12.30 je kan? Supposedly lah tu yang dah ramai keluar dah semua je kan. Latif, ni MVP nak jumpa tak?
Kenapa?
Nak tanya sikit. Nak terus ke apa? Tak, dia dekat sini je. Dekat tempat duduk. Ni. Pakai turun silver. Belakang deep. Ni yang cuba sekejap. Tak apalah, pergi ke sini. Macam mana yang boleh Dr. Farida bagi tahu tak? I can lah. Dr. Farida juga kan? Betul apa? Macam ni ceremony lah.
Tak, dia kata mula-mula opening ceremony. Lepas tu last minute semalam dia kata closing ceremony. So sebab tu lah kita orang diberikan montage video last minute juga. Lepas tu ini pun last minute juga yang UOB ada buat apa tu?
Crowdfunding.
Untuk bagi hadiah kejap lagi. So sekarang ni kita orang tengah tunggu UOB punya representative tu or siapa pemenang dia untuk hadir baru terima. Hadiah pun tak cukup lagi actually.
Lepas tu kipas baru habis lah lepas tu? Oh, okay, faham. So ni
dia
ad hoc lah ni? Okay, faham. Kak, dia macam concern juga.
Ada concern apa?
Tak ada concern apa-apa.
Tak bercakap lah.
Tak ada apa-apa sebab yelah Syukur habis 12.30 kan. So macam kalau student ni lepas tu tadi prof pun kata macam tak apalah stay je lah kejap.
Sebab ada beberapa yang lambat datang sampai 9:30 dah start dah. So dia sebab tunggu dia lah.
40 minit lambat. Oh really?
Terus saya
9:30 dah. So waktu Ale datang tu betul-betul memang baru start lah. Palingnya 9 setengah terus start.
Tak
Dia lah.
lah 10 tu.
Sebab makan lagi. Oh dia makan dulu lah tadi. Biasa lah prof. Tak apa lah. Ni lah UB kan.
MBSB, Maybank, UOB.
MBSB tak silap ni dah balik tadi.
UOB balik?
MBSB.
Tak rasa pula sebab awak tu dekat belakang.
Saya tadi ada apa bercakap lah dengan orang MBSB. Lepas tu yang apa PA chairman tu. Situ orang dah balik. Tak apalah.
Concern juga sebab ramai student yang break, dia dah balik. VIP pula sama kena waktu tunggu. Tapi tu lah memang kita nak tunggu tu. Tu dia orang baru sampai. Setting semua.
Kan saya tak perlu lah. Okay. Alright, thank you.
Thank you juga lah Kak.
Okay.
Yang ni still
ada pun tadi Dr. Faradil lah yang WhatsApp bagi tadi.
Last minute bagi tahu.
Dia kata closing ceremony pagi ni. Macam lepas tu sebab tak ada terus WhatsApp. Awati untuk tambahkan certification pun. Yelah, it's not nice lah kalau dia tadi.
Ini pun is one first time buat event besar. Tak tahu.
Tak apa. I can wait semua society kena join. Tapi adalah macam so macam tak cukup kita tak apa komiti tak lah. Semua ada. IBIS ada, TAF ada, BES ada. Apa Isbah ada. Apa POS, BES semua ada. So macam tapi Isbah paling besar lah ni sebab closing ceremony sekali. So macam big credit to you lah actually.
Thank you. Risau juga ni.
Good job.
Ni?
Tadi Dr. Faradil kata proceed je.
Proceed apa?
Sambung.
UOB sekali kan?
Tak payah tunggu, tak payah book dulu untuk sambung UOB punya sesi serahan?
Tak ada pula, dia just cakap saya tanya kalau ni kita nak stopkan ke dah end kan? Dia kata masih ada lagi ke? You think so? Ini tak ada kaitan lagi.
Tak, sebab kalau ni tengah hold kan sekarang. So
dia tak ada hold pun.
So korang just nak buat untuk forum je lah.
Tak, tadi kan daripada awal dah.
Yelah.
Ni nak end sampai habis tak?
Boleh je. Alang-alang bukannya.
Yelah, sebab doktor tadi pun cakap boleh je end kan. End sampai habis. Sebab sampai habis.
Nampaklah sikit
proper.
Dia punya proper. Ini takkanlah forum saja. Islam memang kena duduk sini daripada tadi. Lepas tu bila VIP keluar baru boleh naik atas balik lah kan. Okay. Thank you, good luck Papa Roger. Kalau nak tukar orang pun boleh. Just bagi tahu je.
Intan. Macam nak kan? Dia suruh nak.
Dia suruh kan.
Tanganku.
Mana N?
Lah?
Dah N ke?
Ni? Nah.